What up? What up? What up? Welcome back to the scorecard, the boxing scorecard, where I ask people to bring your scorecard and an explanation, not just simply your opinion. Today, we will be going over last night's main event, which wasn't for a title, just a good bout at 140 pounds between King Ryan Garcia and Mr. Javier Fortuna, whose full name is actually Javier Santiago Fortuna Francisco, but he just goes by Javier Fortuna. And I need some help here. So someone in the chat can tell me what is his nickname is El Avion, El space Abejon, El Avion, whatever that means. What up, Carl? What up? Um, yes, I'm a few minutes late, but I'm here. I'm here. Um, so yeah, this was King Ryan's. Keep calling him King. This was Ryan Garcia's first no, this was Ryan Garcia's second bout at 140 pounds. This was Javier Fortuna's first bout at 140 pounds. So the results, let's get through the results first. Um, Ryan Garcia wins by sixth round knockout with little resistance from his opponent, Mr. Fortuna. My prediction for this fight was actually a later round stoppers for Garcia. I felt that the punch resistance because this is Fortuna's first fight. I can hear something in the background because this is Fortuna's first fight at 140, and even on the scales, like he didn't. He looked like he really had to eat some extra food to move up because he didn't look like ripped or anything like that. He didn't have a six pack. Like he wasn't chubby, but he didn't look as conditioned as he usually does for most of his career. Um, I thought that Mr. Fortuna would be able to do a little bit of damage early to give Garcia some trouble early, but Garcia looked sharp, man. His speed was sharp, his accuracy was sharp, and he looked good. I see some of the comments in the chat section here. I don't want to get distracted. Let me just get through my my points, my talking points here, and then we will interact. David Chase, Chris Peters, all you guys. I'll get to your comments in 1 second. Um, so yeah, the punch resistance from Fortuna was not there. Let's go through my scorecard real quick, even though every round was for Ryan, just to give you the specific details. First round, Garcia controlling the distance. He was clearly controlling where he wanted the fight to be. That's what we call ring generalship. The second round, I actually marked the second round as a close round. Garcia was in control, but the Dominican is he was counterpunching good. He did catch Ryan, not enough to win the round, but he did counterpunch Ryan a couple times in that second round. Third round, Fortuna fighting like he really respects Garcia's power, and that's where the punch resistance comes in. Um, Fortuna was just going rope to rope instead of like trying to make a sharp turn to get back to the center of the ring where you have more space to move around. He was just in retreat mode, just going from rope to rope. Um, a sign that you're really worried about your opponent's power. Fourth round, Fortuna got dropped with a body shot. But Ryan Garcia is very good at landing those body shots. He dropped Luke Campbell with that body shot. There it is, that picture right there. Um, yeah, but Fortuna at the fourth round, he wasn't exactly fighting like he was hurt. He was trying to he got dropped but got up and actually still looked good for the rest of that round. Round five, Fortuna landed a big right hand, but Garcia dominated the whole fight, the whole round. So again, yeah, Fortuna landed a good punch in the fifth round, but Ryan Garcia still dominated most of the round. And then in round six is when the KO happened. So there you have it. What do we got? We're gonna give you a few comments here. My man David Chase says, "Good win for Ryan Garcia. Has good speed, power, and he's okay defensively, but he doesn't use his damn feet. He's too stationary." Yeah, I hear what you're saying with that. I'd like to see him cut off his opponents a little bit better. Not in this fight, but in the last fight when he fought the guy from Ghana, Togo. Togo was just going from rope to ropes, but Ryan Garcia wasn't cutting off the ring. He was just following him around in a circle. So when you talk about the footwork, yeah, I see that. I wish he would just learn to cut off the ring a little bit better. He's with Dan Goosen now, who's a very good trainer, so hopefully he can get him to start doing that. Thank you for that comment. Chris Peters, solid performance by Garcia. I don't like how he pulls straight back, though. Doesn't have good defensive skills. Garcia does get touched up. He not last night, but the times that he does get hit with a hard shot, like it's a clearly visible hard shot. Even in that last fight against Tago hit him with that same the same left hook that Luke Campbell dropped him with, except Tago didn't have the power to take advantage of it. Tago didn't have the power to take advantage of it. But the Garcia, when he does leave, and it's on the same side too, on his right side of his face, as an orthodox person, them southpaw lefts, whether it's a straight left or overhand left, they land pretty often against Mister Garcia. So definitely gonna have to clean that up before he challenges Tank Davis. What else we got? What else we got? Last bell, my man Carl says, great image work by production. Bravo, Eric. Yes, my man Eric always hooking it up in the background. Um, also says, does he jump in Tank? A lot of work to make that happen. Yes, man. This is contract negotiations, man. Whatever. Hopefully it happens. I don't want to turn into one of these shows where we talk about rumors and negotiations and who deserves what. You can bring that back again, the slides. I don't like to get into the rumors on who deserves what or what percentage. That's all stuff all that stuff is stuff that's out of our control. So I kind of feel like it's a waste of time just talking about that stuff. I just like to go over the facts. Um, and the facts are, Ryan Garcia really wants this Tank fight. Like every interview he does, he's mentioning Tank's name. Like he obviously wants this fight, um, and I believe it could happen. There's lots of fights that could happen, and it depends what weight this fight is going to happen at. Is it going to be at 140? Garcia said he wants it to be at 140. He says that Tank could easily make the 140 fight, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll talk about Tank a little bit after. What other comments we got here? Mr. Zev says Garcia's left hook is nasty. Not sure if it's better than Oscar's when he was in his prime. No. It wasn't better than Oscar's. You know what? You know what was the difference between Oscar De La Hoya's left hook? Most people, when your coach tells you to get into your fighting stance, right? They'll put your dominant hand behind you like this. So if you're orthodox, you're standing with your left foot forward and your left hand up like this. Your right hand is behind you. Most of the time, the cross that's coming across your body is your dominant hand. There's been a few cases. I'll give you an example: Oscar De La Hoya, Miguel Cotto, more recently Lomachenko, my little boxer Kioma. These guys, they fight in the opposite hand of their power. So, for example, De La Hoya and Miguel Cotto, they're both left-handed. So you would think they should be southpaws, but they're both left-handed. So they fought in an orthodox stance. That's why for their whole careers, specifically De La Hoya, for his whole career, and Miguel Cotto too, people always talked about how much of a good left hook that they had. Right? People always talked about how much the left hook, like you just mentioned, that's because their power hand is actually their left hand. That's why it was so dominant. Um, so going back to your comment, I don't think Garcia's left hook is as dangerous as De La Hoya's. The speed wise, he might be there because Garcia is very fast. So speed wise, it might be comparable to Oscar De La Hoya's left hook, but the power, not so much, not so much. What do we got here, Carl? Don't be too harsh on Garcia. Remember, he's fairly new with Goosen and has changed trainers recently. He needs to settle down now with Goosen. Um, yeah. I hear you. But he doesn't seem like he wants to settle down. Like I said, every interview he does, he's talking about fighting Tank. He wants to fight the best. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. So I hear you're saying he needs to You're saying we should settle down on the harsh talk about him, but he's the one that's putting himself in that position to be talked about like that with the way he's talking. So you want to talk like you want to hang with the big boys. You got to be able to take the big boy talk too. Yes. Thank you very much, Carl. What else we got? David Chase says, listening to things Floyd has said recently about Ryan, I just don't see this fight happening. Floyd has said before that, actually, he said Tank is only going to fight fighters from PBC, but correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, Tank Davis, You could put that the Tank Davis one up since we're getting into that one. Um, Tank Davis is a free agent right now, I believe. So there is a chance it could happen. When he was with PBC, that's what Floyd was talking about. Like Floyd said, Tank's only going to fight people that are on PBC. But right now, like at this moment, he hasn't signed back with anybody. So he's a free agent. So it could happen. I put this picture up here. Actually, my man Eric put this picture up here just to show you the difference. 27, 23. I think Davis is a little bit taller than 5'5" though. I think he's a little bit taller than 5'5". That 5.5 difference is big. But Davis has fought taller guys most of his career, and obviously it hasn't affected him. He knows how to close that distance. He's athletic enough and a good enough boxer to close that distance. So even though there's a 5-inch difference between these two guys, I still believe Davis would be able to pull it off. What else we got? Oh, I got to go back down in the chat to see. Can I go back down to see? I think I missed one. David Chase. However, listening to things I'm hearing Haney say about the rematch with Kambosos, I think the obvious fight to make would be Haney versus Garcia at 140. Now, has Devin Haney said he wants to move up to 140? Like he has all the belts at 135. I would think he would want to stay there and clear that out first before he moved up. But I mean, some of these fighters they want to go where the big money is too. Tank went up to 140 just for one fight, and then he went back down. Garcia says there's no chance in hell that he's going back to 135, so he's going up to 140. There's plenty of other good fights for Garcia up there too. I got Tank up here. Tank would obviously be the number one financial option for Garcia at 140. That would be the biggest, other than Spence and Crawford. You got Triple G and Canelo coming up in September. Joshua and Usyk at the end of August. But financially, this Garcia and Davis would probably be the biggest financial fight in boxing when it is made, hopefully. But anyway, going back to you mentioned David Chase mentioned Devin Haney. Yes, that's my only question is Devin Haney at 140. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't heard Devin Haney mention anything about moving up to 140. Like I said, he just got the 135 straps. So let's see how far he can hold on to those titles for and keep and maintain that reign before he talks about moving up. So we'll see. Carl coming in again. My point being that Eddie Reynoso and Goossen are very different trainers with different style of boxing. So you may be caught between styles a little at the moment. Well, caught between styles. The reason why I have to slightly disagree with that, Carl, is because he the reason why he left Reynoso is because he apparently wasn't getting the time that he needed and wasn't learning anything. So I don't know. I didn't hear those specific things come out of his mouth, but that is the usual reasons why certain fighters might leave a trainer. Like they don't feel like they're getting. Obviously, they don't feel like they're getting the attention that they need or the skills that they need to be working on. There must have been something. Like Garcia didn't just wake up one day and say I don't like these guys and decide to leave. There must have been something that was leading up to that. And speaking of Reynoso, who if you don't know, Ray Reynoso is Eddie Reynoso is Canelo's coach. He's had a few people that have left him, and he's had a rough year, actually. Let's just put it as a rough year. His past couple of big fights, he's lost, whether it was Canelo, Shakur Stevenson beat Valdez. That was another Reynoso boxer. And in the past couple of weeks, too, he had another one of his boxers lost. One of the past couple of weeks, one of the past couple of scorecards in the past weekend, Eddie Reynoso was his coach, and he lost again. So Reynoso's had a rough year coaching wise. He still has Canelo, who's still the number one draw in the sport, so that's what he's holding on to. But we'll see. As far as you mentioned, caught in between different styles. I would prefer. I always liked Dan Goossen as a trainer. One of his top guys that he had was Diego Corrales. at the height of his career. A lot of you guys might not know Diego Corrales, but he was a great fighter. You can go back and watch his highlights. Um, Fought Mayweather, fought all the best guys. Rest in peace. Got into a motorcycle accident a couple of years ago. But yeah, great fighter, Diego Corrales. He was with Dan Goosen. So we'll see. This was the second fight. This was the second fight together with coach Dan Goosen and King Ryan Garcia. And Goosen is an offensive trainer. There's not too many defensive trainers out there. Most coaches, I guess you would just say, are offensive trainers. So the Ryan's offense was never really a question. His speed, he always had speed and accuracy. The defensive lapses is where I think where the coaching would make a difference. So that's where that's where the coaching would make a difference. Who can get Garcia to have better defense? That's what we're looking at. All right, thank you. I love all the comments coming in. Chris Peters, what you got here? Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis is a pick'em fight, in my opinion. We have seen Tank drop numerous rounds to guys who, in my opinion, are not as good as Garcia. Yes, you are exactly right, Chris Peters. Even in his last fight against Rolly, Tank was losing that fight, technically on the scorecards. He was losing that fight and then came through with the KO at the end, a la Deontay Wilder for most of his fights, where he's losing most of his fights, but he has that ultimate equalizer with his power. Tank is kind of in that level too. I always said, this is a little bit off topic, but I always said Tank Davis, Triple G, and Wilder kind of have similar careers. You know, they smash all the B-level competition. And then it's time for them to step. When Triple G stepped up, you know, he kind of looked even. Same thing. Wilder stepped up. He got stopped by Fury, and now we're gonna wait to see Davis step up and see what happens there. But as far as the power, Davis, Triple G, Wilder, they're the same as far as the power. What we got here? Shit, we got lots of comments. I don't want to miss any. Trying to move down so I can see them. I don't know if I can move down and see them though. Okay, yes I can. Zev says, I just want good fights. The Zone charges $20 a month. Showtime charges $80 a month for Tank's fights. Oh, the Zone charges $20 a month and Showtime charges $80 a month for Tank's fights. I'm not on the side of fighters here. I'm fed up with fans being charged for Romero and Fortuna fights. I hear you, man. I hear you. Only thing we can do about that is just just keep telling the promoters, keep complaining to the promoters, or not paying for it. You know, if it's one thing to complain about it, but if you keep paying for it, they have no reason to change what they're doing. I don't like to encourage this, but there's other streaming ways that you can watch fights without paying for them. So we won't get into that. I ain't trying to get in trouble on here. Let's get back to the comments. Zev says, as a boxing fan and one who actually pays when a fight warrants it, I think I have the right to demand good fights. Yeah, of course, yes. If you're paying for it, that's what I mean. You're paying your money. You have the right to but you got to complain to them though, right? Just saying stuff on here is not going to matter. You got to complain to the powers that be, as they say, to the promoters. Email the promoters. Get on their social medias. Write all these comments in their social medias, like flood their comment section with their social media, flood their social media comment section with stuff like that. Like, you deserve better cards with the money that you're putting out for it, right? They gotta visually hear these things and see them too, for them to do something about it, right? What else we got? For the record, Zev says, for the record, I think Tank stops Haney. But what I won't do is continue to excuse the dude for not taking tough fights and charge $80 for fights against Rolly, Romero, and Cruz. Zev is feeling it today. I hear you, Zev. I hear you, man. I hear you. You want to pay, if you're paying money, you want to pay for the best. I'm a fan who will pay for a good fight. I'm not giving the Zone $20 and PBC $80 for no hoppers. Hopers? For no hopers. Yes. Again, totally hear your points, Zev. You're paying good money. You want to see good fights. You want to see the fights that you want to see that are good competitive fights. with that being said, going back to Davis's Cruz fight, I think he hurt his hand in this fight and went the distance. I don't know. But I hear what you're saying, man. Cruz and Romero were not household names that people know, and that big fights are big fights because of. I heard somebody say this the other day. Big fights aren't big fights because of the fight actually happening. Big fights are considered big fights because of the anticipation, right? It's the anticipation before the fight that makes it so big. That's why Spence and Crawford. That's why people keep talking about Spence and Crawford, because it's the anticipation of those two guys at their height going at each other that makes the fight great. The fight might actually turn out to be boring. Maybe one guy might be dominating the other one, and it might be boring for the average person to watch, right? But it's the lead up, it's the anticipation. So the reason why I'm bringing that up, going back to Zev's point here, there was no real excited anticipation about when Tank Davis took on Rolly Romero or Isaac Cruz or even Ryan Garcia. The show's about Ryan Garcia. Let's get back to him. No one was really excited for his last fight, Tago. Even in this one, Fortuna, I was somewhat excited for it, because even though Fortuna is past his prime, I thought he would be able to do a little bit more. Fortuna turned professional back in 2009. So, he's 33 years old. Again, 33 years old in real life is not old, but in athletes' terms, you're getting towards the last half, the last part of your career. And also him moving up in weight class, Fortuna moving up to 140. Usually the guys in the littler weight classes don't usually move up in their mid 30s at the end of their career. So again, my whole point of bringing all that up was the anticipation wasn't there for this fight for people to get excited about. So I hear what you're saying, Zev. My man Frank Cirilli is coming in. The first knockdown seemed like a perfect liver shot. Yep. The second knockdown was a perfect short hook that landed directly to the temple, which explained the delayed reaction. Yes, Ryan Garcia is very good at mixing it up, going from the body to the head, and that's how you can open up your opponent. Because a lot of times people, if an opponent has their hands up high, you come down to the body to get their hands to drop a little bit. Then the next time you fake to the body, their hands drop, and you come up top with a punch. Ryan Garcia is very good at that. He's very good at that. And so that's how he set that up. So the first knockdown was a liver shot to the body. The second one kind of faked downstairs and came up top to the temple. Yeah. Yes, again, Frank. Yes, Frank. Fortuna's best years are behind him, but no one has stopped him in this fashion. Yes, exactly. You're very right, and that's why I was on the fence with my prediction. As far as I already knew the disadvantages that Fortuna had, being a little bit older, moving up in weight class. So those two main things, being a little bit older and moving up in weight class for the first time at the end of your career. I know those were two disadvantages that Fortuna had going into the fight, but the fact that he had never been stopped before, nobody had ever stopped him, was giving me some confidence that he'd be able to give Ryan Garcia some trouble. That was not the case. Hey, someone just wrote, hey, what up? Thanks for tuning in. Yes. So any other questions or comments? What else we got, man? So, oh, yes. I forgot to write this note. We taught, so what's his name? Ryan Garcia is talking about moving up to 140 pounds. Every interview he has, he mentions Tank Davis. There's other players also at 140 that he could take on. How about Teofimo Lopez, who says that his days at 135 are over. Teofimo Lopez lost his belts to George Kambosos a couple of weeks ago. George Kambosos lost those belts to Devin Haney a couple of weeks ago. However, Haney is staying at 135 as of right now. So you also got Teofimo Lopez, who's dangerous at 140. You also have Josh Taylor from the UK, who is a dangerous. Josh Taylor, he had a controversial win against Catterall a couple of months ago. A lot of people think he lost that one, but he's still a dangerous guy at 140. And Ramirez, the guy that Josh Taylor beat for those belts, Ramirez, I forget his first name. But he's another tough competitor at 140 pounds. So yeah, man, there's lots of action that can happen between 135, 140, and 147. Garcia even talked about moving up to 147 later on in his career. So we'll see about that. We got another comment here from man Chris Peters. Tank has fought. Tank Tank fights has no reason not to happen now. Oh, the tank fight has no reason not to happen now. Get TU in there too down the line, and be a burner too. Be a barn burner too. I want to see all the fights now that Loma is coming back too. No more wasting time. Yeah, speaking of no more wasting time, especially Loma. Loma, we talked about Fortuna being older. Let me find out how old Lomachenko is. Lomachenko is a little bit older, is getting up there himself. I know he's definitely in his 30s. Um, Definitely in his 30s, but I'm not sure. And he had, Lomachenko had 400 amateur boxing matches before he turned professional. Um, so, all right, I'm pulling it up right now. Lomachenko is, how old is he? He's 34 years old. And again, they say it all the time, being in your 30s is not old in real life, but in athletes' age, it's getting up there. Lomachenko, 400 amateur fights before he turned professional. Um, so a lot of kilometers, a lot of mileage and kilometers are on that body. So in a sport like boxing, where your reflexes and your speed and your reaction time are just as important as your power, you never know when you're in your 30s, in your mid 30s, and you're still taking on the top guys. You never know when that reaction time is going to slow down. So hopefully Lomachenko could get those big fights before he slows down. That was my whole point of bringing that up. Chris Peters, you meant no wasting time at all. Lomachenko can, if you're in your 30s, 32, 33, 34 and up, you have no time to waste. You need to get in there with the best now, not just for your physically, but financially, to get those big fights right now. What else we got? My man Frank says, is Ryan Garcia looking better with Joe Goosen or too soon to tell? It might be too soon to tell, because in his first fight, the first fight that he had to get, that he fought Tago, Garcia said his hand was still hurt, or he wasn't 100% going into that fight. That was more of a, he said, not to disrespect his opponent, but that was more of a tune-up fight. Who's calling me right now, man? You guys don't know I'm on my show. So yeah, it's a little bit too early to tell. When Ryan Garcia fought his last fight, he said he wasn't 100% going in. I believe his hand was still hurting him. And in this fight here, this was only a second. This was a second fight with Goosen. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. I didn't really see a difference in Garcia. His offense, like the way he was throwing his punches and his speed and accuracy, he still looked the same as he did before. I guess the difference that we would be able to see in a couple of fights is the footwork and the defense. I think Garcia follows his opponents around too much as opposed to cutting them off, and he does get touched up a lot. Not enough to be for his opponents to be able to take advantage of it so far, but I believe if someone like Tank Davis catches them with them left hooks, or straight lefts, or overhand lefts that at least land on Ryan's face at least 2 or 3 times a fight. If they land from Tank Davis, I think it'll be a different story. Even though Garcia did show that he is durable. When Luke Campbell dropped him, he got up and weathered the storm. Luke Campbell is a former gold medalist, so Luke Campbell is a good boxer. He dropped him. Garcia got up, weathered the storm, and then ended up stopping him in the later round. So that fight right there gained some respect from Garcia from me, the way he fought through that. So Frank, yeah, I think it's a little bit too early to tell whether it's that much of a difference yet. Chris Peters says, I think he looked his best against Campbell. His jab looked much better, but it looks like he's keeping his right hand up now and not dropping it at all. Yeah, that's the difference. I always tell fighters, this. Most fighters love that Mayweather defense with the lead hand down, because every boxer believes they have their fast enough to get their head out of the way. Everyone just has that confidence that they can do that. What I remind people is that you even Floyd switches up his defense sometimes. It's not just always here. Sometimes he'll get both hands up. Sometimes he'll do a quick lean back. He'll slip, giving your opponent different looks is what you're trying to do. So yeah, going back to what you said, he does keep his right hand up now, better, much better. And so hopefully that's one of the differences, I guess you can say, that Dan Goosen has helped him with, keeping that right hand up a little bit tighter to his chin, which is gonna have to, because them southpaws are coming with that left hand. That's really where Ryan gets caught, is on his own right side. My man Nick Leishman says Ryan Garcia has the dimensions of Diego Corrales, but he has to prove he can beat someone like Jose Luis Castillo. Yes, you brought it back. For those of you that don't know, Jose Luis Castillo gave Floyd Mayweather one of his toughest matches earlier on in his career, and Mayweather, of course, gave him a rematch and won the rematch unanimous. But that first one, that was a very good, technically sound fight from Jose Luis Castillo. Yeah, very good comment, my man Nick, comparing Garcia to Corrales and Castillo. Well, you said he has to beat someone like Castillo. Okay, so that's a very good question. So here's a little trivia for you guys now. Who would you guys compare to Jose Luis Castillo right now? Jose Luis, who could we compare to Jose Luis Castillo? Let me think. I got to come back to that one, because he was Jose Luis Castillo, I guess, especially in those lighter weight classes. He kind of fought like Canelo, if you think about it. Yeah, I would compare him, even though Canelo's in the obviously higher weight classes, but the way they fought, or maybe a more prime Canelo, because I got to take away Canelo, because at the same age when Mayweather schooled Canelo when he was 36 years old, he struggled with Castillo in that first fight. No, I wouldn't say struggled, but it was a even match. Not that Mayweather struggled; both guys were even tests for each other in that match. So I'll come back to you on that. I'm trying to look for a good comparison for Jose Luis Castillo to a boxer these days. But thank you very much for that comment there, Nick. And thank you to everyone in the chat for all your comments. You guys keep the show going. I only wrote down a few notes today. I thought it was going to be a short 5-10 minute show, but because you guys' participation, which I greatly appreciate, thank you very much, all you guys in the chat, from Carl, Chris, Zev, Frank, Nick, Dave, Chase, another name here I can't pronounce, MXCHAELOL. Yeah. What up? So yeah, there we have it for this week. I guess if there's no other comments or questions, thank you again for tuning in. Don't forget, if you can't catch the show live every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, you can catch the show on any podcast outlet, from Spotify, Apple, whatever, anywhere where you listen to podcasts are available. You can check out the Scorecard. And of course, on YouTube, it is Talkin Fight YouTube channel. Yeah. Don't forget, later on today, we got the knockout of the week with my man Mike Orr. And every day at 4 p.m., we do a prospect of the day, only on the Talkin Fight network, the Talkin Fight conglomerate. Yes. If you haven't done it yet, please like this video and tell a friend to tell a friend. All right, peace.